Thanks for tuning in to the Replatform podcast, sponsored by Amplius and Klaviyo. You're listening to myself, James Gedd, and my co-host, Paul Rogers. How you doing, buddy?
Yeah, good, thanks. How are you doing?
Yeah, I think it was easier for me to find my office today than you to find a meeting room at WeWork, right?
Yeah, so yeah, it's getting increasingly difficult as they continue to try and be a real business, get numbers and stop wasting money.
Excellent. So thanks to anybody who's tuning back in today. And if you're new to the podcast, thank you for joining us. We hope you enjoy it. You can subscribe if you want an episode alert. We drop them every week by email. And we'd love a like on YouTube, Spotify, Apple to make us feel much happier about our insignificant lives. Thank you very much. So let me introduce our topic. Paul will then introduce our guest and we'll get cracking. So our topic today is WordSeed's pivot from e-commerce marketplace to brand discovery platform. We're going to cover what that pivot means, the process behind it, and the operational tech implications when you change your business models, and where they're currently going, and the latest acquisition of Bombinate Marketplace and what that means to the business. So, Paul, do you want to set up and do the introductions to Harry, and then we'll get into the questions?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I invited Harry to come onto the podcast. My business partner, Josh, and I worked with Harry and his business partner, Nick, probably about 5 years ago when we first started Bombinate, or like shortly after. And Harry and Nick ran a marketplace business called Ecommerce, which was great. They had some really good brands, like real kind of challenger in that space, very high traffic early on. And then recently they've gone for an interesting journey, as you say, kind of pivoting away from the marketplace model. So I wanted to get Harry on and kind of ask him to talk through his journey and what he's doing now and kind of what he's learned from the experience. So Harry, first question, can you talk us through, I guess, your background, the background of Ecommerce, and then why you decided to move away from the marketplace model and more towards the WordSeed business, which is essentially a discovery platform?
Yeah, so we launched Ecommerce as a marketplace, fashion, lifestyle, consumer brands, and connecting them with customers. And on paper, when you look at the marketplace model, it looks great. It looks awesome. You know, you got your 30% commission, no inventory risk, and none of the kind of ancillary costs that you have related to inventory management. So you got no, shipping, logistics, warehousing. The list goes on. But for us, as a marketplace, we found two main issues. The first was that turning a profit in the future was becoming increasingly more and more unlikely, unless, of course, you're one of the few lucky marketplaces to reach an absolutely vast scale. To make sales and grow the top line aggressively enough to fundraise, we needed to be overly reliant on discounts. So, on top of the discounts we're offering on the way in, you've got increasing customer acquisition costs, customer services, free shipping, returns, all of that eroding our margin to the point that only, an unbelievable customer LTV was going to save our unit economics, but it was never quite strong enough. And the second reason that we pivoted, away from marketplace was that we felt like we were just giving our brands working with us another competitor. We're competing on branded terms on Google Shopping, for example. And if you take a step back, you notice that our goals, the goals of the marketplace, goals of the brands just weren't aligned. We wanted customers to buy through Ecommerce, so we get our commission, and the brands wanted to get discovered on Ecommerce and receive the orders direct.
Great. And I guess one thing I wanted to add to that was when you did Ecommerce, I think it was because, there's so many kind of small marketplaces out there. I think you were in a different category just because I think you did you always did the curation really well. And obviously there was a lot of investment in like editorial and content. And I think you even did a magazine at one point, didn't you?
Yeah, we did. Yeah. I mean, and that was it. When we realized we needed to pivot, my business partner, Nick, and we sat down and we were like, look, what are the levers we're going to be able to pull to turn a profit in the future? Are we going to be able to spend less on customer services? No. Are we going to be able to charge our brands more? No. Are we going to be able to make changes that, are going to enable us to pull in a profit when, And the answer was no, unless we were going to reach this huge scale. And were we going to achieve the funding rounds all the way through to get us there? The answer is, almost certainly not. So we sat down and we wanted to, work out what we did best. So like you said, Paul, discovering and curating great brands in a great shopping environment, supported by editorial content. That was all the stuff that we did very well. Was there a model where we could do that, but brands could control the entire sales cycle and, crucially, the sales data? Was there a model where we wouldn't have to offer welcome discounts, loyalty discounts that you see so many marketplaces do in an effort to essentially lure orders away from going direct to brands? And was there a way for the customer to discover on Apumo, but deal directly with the brand, to get a far better experience, more informative product info, expertise where needed, more streamlined shipping, returns, that kind of thing. So in late 2020, we approached all of our brands to let them know that we were ending the marketplace, and we wanted to promote them across our platform, email database, and social channels in return for a cost per click. So that was it. So the shift from marketplace was to a platform where the brands would pay on a cost per click basis, monthly recurring. With a monthly recurring, a budget. So all the brands do is they give us a budget, they give us a CPC, and we create the content.
Yeah, I got a question on that, because that's really interesting to pivot like that, because it's not a small change either, because the marketplace technology is not the same thing. And I guess a lot of businesses in e-commerce face parallel challenges when they might be changing their tech stack. So what process do you take operationally and tech wise? Like what process do you approach to be able to understand what the impact and how you would go through that? So I suppose if we take a step back and look at what happened, you've got from a brand's perspective, the pivot was well received, and that's the first thing to say. Otherwise it wouldn't have worked. In a market where costs at Facebook and Google were increasing, there aren't that many ways to reach customers in a scalable way. So we had built up just shy of £1 million in ad spend on the platform. There was no way for us to be able to provide that amount of traffic. So we went to publishers and asked them if they would join us in our network. And at the same time, brands were coming to us and they were saying, how else do we get featured in other publications alongside Apumo? So luckily we've got, very, very strong engineering team. And they were able to create seriously quickly a platform where publishers and brands can be connected, but in a kind of automated way. So WordSeed's is a fully automated way for brands to secure coverage. And as I mentioned earlier, they literally give us a monthly budget, a CPC rate, and they sit back and wait for the high quality shopping traffic via the content that our network of publishers produce. So all of the tech stack, all of the platforms are built from the ground up. We've got a central admin portal that we run, of course, and we've got a publisher portal, and we've got a brand portal. And every day the publishers are logging into the platform to essentially shop through a list of brands, and we're getting new brands added every day. So a great resource for publishers looking to monetize content, and a really solid new channel for brands. So you went down the custom route. I'm really intrigued. But what made you go down a custom route rather than go into a third-party established ad network? What were the challenges you faced? Because that's not a small undertaking.
One thing to add to that, just before you go, obviously we were we're still working with you at this point. I think it's quite interesting how you went down the route of moving from agency to developer. I don't know if you still work with that guy. What do you call him? Is it Magic Mike or something?
Magic Mike, yeah. I mean, Magic Mike is fundamental to the business's success. I mean, I would never go back to agency, and then this is no slight on agencies. It's just the kind of business we are. We employ engineers and we employ salespeople. That's it. So there would be no room for an agency in what we do. And in answer to your question, James, the decision to build the platform from the ground up was one that our lead developer Mike took. Firstly, because he thought it would be a really exciting project and he wanted to get his teeth stuck into it. And secondly, from a value perspective, we want to build a valuable business for us and for our shareholders, and piecing together a kind of Frankenstein of different pieces of technology when we have the expertise in house to build something from the ground up. Just looked a bit less attractive.
So that makes sense. And then what led to the bigger pivot of then going kind of full ad network? Like, what was the opportunity that you saw there, or kind of gap in the market?
Yeah, I mean, it was literally born out of the fact that we had all this ad spend with nowhere to put it. We had £1 million a month on a Pumo, and brands were desperate to spend it, because one of the thing about brands when they're budgeting, as you guys well know, is that if they're going to give you a budget of 10,000 a month and you don't spend it, then that budget's going to need to be reallocated. So we need to be quite careful that if brands are going to give us budgets, that we need to spend that budget. And it was just it just sort of fell into place quite nicely, because you got brands wanting to feature in different publications. You got publishers always wanting to monetize, and it's quite tricky for publishers to monetize a lot of the time. So it just sort of fell into place, and actually, WordSeed was born out of a real need. One for brands, the other for publishers, and the next for us to be able to use the engineering expertise we've got to build something greater than just a single publication.
And so, from my understanding, is that you work with the publishers. Publishers have obviously the ad space for the brands, but you're looking to acquire editorial sites too. So, is that part of the platform mix where you own the editorial sites as well as connecting with others, or how does that piece work?
Yeah, we're quite active in that space. Essentially, we always look to acquire niche online publishers. It fits really nicely in with WordSeed's strategy. We've got a deal in the pipeline with a large publisher closing very soon, which we're really excited about. But yeah, if we can have hundreds of third-party publishers and a group of publishers that we own and control, it fits really nicely and adds a lot of value to brands as well.
And you mentioned earlier about that. So the publishers go in each day to their portal. They go to effectively select the brands, a stock that they want to bring onto their site, targeted based on their content. The bit that brands will obviously want to know is that control piece of making sure that their ads are targeted and contextual, because you talk a lot about contextual relevance. How does the platform automate the process to ensure that a rogue publisher doesn't stick an ad on a completely irrelevant page just to get some ad stock in there?
So we're we're very picky of the publishers we work with. That's the first thing. And the second thing, it's the publisher adds one line of code, and then our system is the piece that works out which ad is going to fit in that content contextually. We've got a few different products. Like we said earlier, we've got sponsored editorial, enables brands to feature in dedicated and multi-brand articles. But we're doing these contextual ads, and unlike normal contextual ads, ours are done on a CPC basis, which I think brands like. And we've got some really interesting formats. These aren't just standard contextual banners. We've got a product called Smart Windows, which combines products born out of the feeds that we pull in, and lifestyle in a single creative. It looks a lot less like a conventional ad. So performance for the brands is very strong. But yeah, it's fully automated. If there's no relevant content, if they put the line of code on an article about cars, it's just not going to pull in anything because it's just not relevant enough. But if they put the line of code for the contextual ads on a sunglasses article, then we're going to cycle through some of our sunglasses brands.
What is Amplience? In a word, it's freedom. The freedom to build a digital experience as limitless as your vision. Create, preview, schedule, and manage all your content in one easy place. Find out more at amplience.com. Amplience. Experience freedom.
That makes sense. And I guess the obvious question to this, so you've mentioned CPCs a few times. So what are the typical goals that people are going in with? Is it mostly kind of qualified traffic? And are people then, I guess, looking to or do you find that people are looking to generate like a return in terms of kind of transactions and conversions? And how are you reporting back to brands? So our place in the marketing funnel is very much at the top. We are pouring high quality shopping leads into the top of the funnel, and those leads are, the way that as you guys know, contextual ads work is that the traffic is pre-qualified. That they're interested in sunglasses because they're looking at a sunglasses article. So if your sunglasses creative is appearing on that article, then then you can be sure that at that exact moment in time the user is is spot on your target market. So yeah, yes, and on the reporting side, brands install a pixel. So the pixel enables us to report key metrics to brands in near enough real time, but it also enables our algorithms to constantly optimize, so we can automatically increase and decrease campaign budgets at all the different publishers to get the best results. And we do that based on hundreds of different metrics. That makes sense. I know you. I've seen your traffic come into some of our client sites in the past. Obviously, you work with a few of our clients, and I have seen some transactions. So I was intrigued to see if you report back on that. So next question. In fact, sorry, are you going to?
No, I was going to say, yeah. I mean, not to sort of downplay the fact that brands can expect a positive ROI as well. Like you said, the traffic is high quality. It depends largely on the price of the products. If you're talking products, upwards of let's say 120, then probably it's not the kind of impulse purchase that's going to record a transaction for WordSeed on a last click attribution. So yeah, it's just the metrics that brands look at more or alongside the ROI are dwell time, pages per visit, that kind of thing. To look at sort of the health of the traffic, rather than just expecting there to be a load of impulse purchases on a last click.
Makes sense. It's more of a brand awareness activity.
Exactly.
So next question. So you've been working with a friend of mine, Leo, who runs an editorial site called The Collector, and he's been sending me loads of preview links and things to his new store, which is co-branded. So it's like WordSeed X The Collector. How does that work? So how does the model work for both parties? And then how are you actually going on to sell the product?
So it's very early days, but we soft launched a product that we're calling Smart Stores earlier in the month. A lot of publishers like Leo from The Collector will have considered an e-commerce offering. But how do they achieve this? Traditional e-com would be a risk. especially as it's unlikely to be an area of their expertise. And as we found out the hard way, marketplaces also come with a number of issues. So we built smart stores so publishers and content creators can literally create, customize, and launch a shop in 10 minutes. They can drag and drop the elements they want on the homepage, configure the colors, fonts, and everything else. They can select brands from the list of our 100 or so, 250 or so brands, and they can choose the categories they want. It really is very versatile, and the smart store users can do this without any of the heavy lifting associated with designing and developing a platform. So there's no sourcing of brands, no stock management, image processing, customer services, to name a few. And literally the model works by the publisher drives traffic to their smart store. And when an end user is directed to a brand site, the publisher is rewarded with a cost per click.
Excellent. Sounds interesting. How many of you, out of interest, how many people have you got using it, or is it just really early days because you've only just launched it?
So we released it to 6 publishers, and 4 have live stores. So the likes of On Point Fresh, H Gentleman, Coolette, and another that escapes me. But yeah, those 3 and another have them. So yeah, go onto the site if you. On their sites, and you can see it'll say an Ape store or Coolette store, or whatever it is, and you have a look, and that's all powered by WordSeed.
And can they embed elements in their existing content pages outside of the brand store? They've got an editorial and they want to put product recommendations on that, which clicks through. Can they do that yet, or is that something potentially for the future?
Yeah, they can. So that would be our Smart Windows product. So we've got essentially Smart Windows is split into 3 sections, or three ad creatives. One of them is product, so a carousel of product and lifestyle. The other one is a small, carousel, but a smaller bit of lifestyle. So yeah, if you're doing an article about use my sunglasses example again. If you're doing an article about sunglasses and you want to embed product within that article, then one line of code and we'll pull through sunglasses directly to the article.
And how does the brands, what's their mechanism for getting all their product data into you? How do you consume it? Is it API based? Is it spreadsheets? Is it flexible?
So a combination of feeds and Google feeds. So each brand that works with us that's got a product catalog, gives us access to their feeds. So we got a few other different ways of getting feeds as well. But luckily, no spreadsheets. We draw the line at spreadsheets. But yeah, because we've always done that with Apumo. Apumo's always been feed based, even in the marketplace days. So we've got quite a lot of experience in pulling through feeds. And if you have a look at the smart stores, you'll notice that we run the products through an image processor that essentially removes the background and adds in a background. So uniformity is key on something like a multi-brand store like this. You don't want, if you've got 100 brands on the same store, it can look quite messy quite quickly. So we do a lot of work to automate image processing, and I think the result's pretty good.
Yeah, it's a really good point, because this is one of the biggest challenges that marketplaces historically have faced is just such a varying quality of imagery, especially when it's not properly vetted.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, a question on the impact of iOS privacy changes, which has obviously been impacting people's thinking around advertising. Has that had an increase? Have you seen an increase in demand for WordSeed as people are looking for more and more other effective channels for customer targeting and remarketing?
Yeah, right. I mean, all of the ads that we run are contextual, and we feel like we're quite early to the to the party, really. But in the iOS changes feel like a step in the right direction for us, I guess. More brands are becoming aware that targeting targeting customers using third-party cookies won't last forever. So yeah, they're looking for alternatives. And actually, I don't have the exact figures, but we've taken on significant number of brands since the iOS 14 release. So yeah, I think it's privacy first world is going to be good for us.
Great. So I'll ask the next one, and this is one that I'm particularly interested in. So you recently bought Bombinate, which is a fairly high-profile marketplace. I think they must have been spending a lot of money on paid ads because, I've heard a few people talk about how often they've seen them on Instagram. I certainly saw them all the time. What's the plan here, and why did Bombinate catch your attention?
So we have. The Bombinate team built a great community around ethical manufacture and craftsmanship over a 5-year period, and we're definitely excited to be a part of that. For full transparency, we acquired the assets rather than the company itself. So we're going through a full rebrand right now. We're as you might guess, not going to launch it as a marketplace, but we're going to launch it as a platform. Under the brand Earthfolk and the domain earthfolk.com. So it's going to be, given the company sort of cut its teeth in ethical and sustainability and craftsmanship, it is a resource for people looking to live, travel, and shop more sustainably. We're looking forward to building out that community and offering it as another publisher on WordSeed for WordSeed brands.
Interesting. Yeah, it sounds like a really cool move. And then last question. So what do you have coming up over the next 12 months? Any other kind of interesting projects or kind of planned new offerings or anything like that you're planning to take to market?
So we're going to be putting a lot of focus on scaling smart stores. We plan to offer them not only to publishers and content creators, but literally anyone with an audience on any channel of any size. Smart stores work great as a low touch side hustle for someone, all the way up to large enterprise publishers. Lots to do there, given the product is so new. And aside from that, we're going to be working on scaling the 4 core WordSeed products, as well as growing the audience and the owned media side, and launching a few more titles, in this Q1 of next year as well.
Excellent. Sounds like you've got a few things to do then.
Yeah, exactly. It's lots to do, and just feel like we've got the team to do it. So yeah, exciting times.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Harry, for taking the time to share a bit more about the platform, where it's going, how it works and who it's for. If there's anyone out there, whether it's publishers or brands who want to grill you a bit more about what the benefits are for them, who do they reach out to, or how do they reach out to you?
They can reach out to me, harry@wordseed.com.
Nice and easy.
Happy to speak to anyone. Yeah, nice and easy. Exactly.
Easy to remember. Excellent. And thanks to everyone for listening. We hope you enjoyed the episode and found it interesting. Keep an ear open for our next episode. We'll drop one every Tuesday. And do give us a rating on Apple, Spotify, YouTube. Until next week, everybody. Thank you very much. For more information on this topic, head over to replatform.fm for our audio podcasts. To discuss a project, or if you'd like to chat about any of the topics covered in this episode in more detail, please reach out to myself, James Gurd, or my co-host Paul Rogers via LinkedIn and Twitter. Thanks again for listening, and keep your ears peeled for the next episode.